It all started on a sweltering afternoon in Thailand. Steven Seagal was there to find himself, though no one was entirely sure what that meant. He wandered into a wildlife sanctuary, his black leather jacket and tinted glasses standing out like a sore thumb in the lush jungle setting. The locals tried to warn him. "Mr. Seagal," one of the guides said nervously, "the elephants here are very peaceful, but they do not like to be provoked." Steven nodded solemnly. "I understand," he said, though it was unclear if he actually did. As Steven walked through the sanctuary, he felt a presence. Slowly turning, he locked eyes with an enormous elephant standing a few yards away. Its trunk swayed lazily. Its ears flapped in the heat. But its gaze was something else. Steven froze. "What's your problem?" he muttered under his breath. The elephant didn't respond, because it was an elephant. But to Steven, the silence spoke volumes. "Oh, I see how it is," Steven said, cracking his knuckles. "You think you can intimidate me? You don't know who you're dealing with, big guy." The guide, sensing danger, rushed over. "Please, Mr. Seagal, it's just an elephant. It doesn't mean anything by it." Steven held up a hand to silence him. "Stay back. This is between me and him." The sanctuary fell silent. Birds stopped chirping. Even the breeze seemed to pause as Steven squared up against the elephant. "You've got 5 seconds to look away," Steven growled, pointing a finger at the elephant like it was a villain in one of his movies. The elephant blinked slowly. "Wrong move," Steven said. With a sudden burst of speed that defied his age and questionable fitness level, Steven charged. He leaped into the air, delivering a spinning back kick that landed squarely on the elephant's forehead. The elephant, bewildered by the audacity of this leather-clad human, let out a low trumpet and stumbled backward. Then, in a moment no one could believe, it collapsed onto its side, dazed but unharmed. The guides and tourists stared in stunned silence as Steven stood over the fallen giant, hands on his hips. "Let that be a lesson to all of you," Steven said, addressing no one in particular. "Respect goes both ways." The sanctuary staff hurriedly checked on the elephant, who seemed more confused than injured. One of the guides approached Steven cautiously. "Sir, please leave immediately." Steven adjusted his glasses. "You're welcome," he said before walking off into the jungle, leaving everyone, including the elephant, utterly baffled. Word of the incident spread like wildfire. The sanctuary put up a sign that read, "No Steven Seagal allowed," complete with a picture of him mid-kick. Meanwhile, the elephant recovered just fine and became something of a local celebrity. As for Steven, he told the story on every talk show that would have him. It wasn't about violence, he'd say. It was about teaching that elephant a lesson in humility. To this day, no one, not even Steven, knows why that elephant looked at him the wrong way. But one thing's for sure, the jungle would never forget the time Steven Seagal knocked out an elephant.